Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Answers for the Family with Alan Cardoza and Matt Polachek, only on LA Talk Radio.
Greetings to all of you listening around the world, and a warm welcome as we bring you another edition of the Answers for the Family radio show. I'm your host, Alan Cardoza, and if you're a regular listener, thank you for joining us once again. And if this is your first time, please make yourself at home as we bring you Answers for the Family. Now, each week, this show will address issues such as locating a runaway teen, family crisis intervention, building self-esteem, dealing with addictions, and so much more. Now, having over 30 years' experience working with families in crisis, I've been fortunate to meet and work with some of the top professionals in many of the helping fields and skilled authors who are working to make this world a better place for all of us. Today, I'm operating solo, but please check out some of our past shows at answersforthefamily.com to hear some informative and entertaining guests as well as some really dynamic co-hosts. So I'm also looking for some show ambassadors. These are people that I would like to forward at least one of our shows to your social media group or to someone you know that can benefit from a particular subject. Now, I truly appreciate it, and this is just another way that we can make a positive difference in the lives of others. Now, many of you know that I did some traveling recently, and I recently returned from a trip that took me to India. And one of the most drastic differences that I saw was their approach to education. Now, in India, many of their poor and homeless use their children to assist in their begging because it draws more sympathy, which generates more money for their family in the short term. Now, this unfortunately keeps them out of school and uneducated, making it considerably more difficult to get out of the life of poverty that they were born into. Now, I'm a firm believer that education is the single greatest factor to help them or any culture to raise their quality of life. Now, our topic today is the Independent Educational Consultants Association and its foundation. And it's referred to as IECA. And they are all about the value of education. Now, I want to share that in a highly credible survey, 26% of students hired an educational consultant to assist in their college search. The survey also provided evidence that independent educational consultants are being employed by mainstream families and working with students at various other levels to submit approximately 160,000 college applications each year. Now, according to the IECA CEO, Mark Sklarow, once a student's potential college list is created, a great consultant, a member of the Independent Educational Consultants Association to be sure, empowers students to conduct their own research, visit campuses, and ultimately make their own decision. The consultant does create that initial list, but then acts as a coach and an advisor, not the final decision maker. Now, the IECA Foundation is a force that leverages the knowledge, professional skills, and funds of IECA members, sponsors, and donors to help underserved students map pathways to success. The foundation identifies and invests in projects to produce pragmatic, measurable results for students, their parents, and their communities, bringing forth students' potential and nurturing their aspirations into achievement. Now, joining us today from Washington, D.C. are Luisa Rabe, and who is an educational consultant in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She counsels graduate program candidates as well as high school students seeking college admission. Luisa has served the Independent Educational Consultants Association in many board and committee roles, and in January will assume leadership of its foundation. And Ann Montgomery, an independent educational consultant from Houston, Texas, who has been active in IECA since 2001. She specializes in college admission advising. Now, after serving IECA in various leadership positions over the years and became a trustee for the IECA Foundation several years ago, she chairs the Grants Committee and takes particular delight in discovering worthy organizations to support. Luisa and Ann, welcome to Answers for the Family.
Alan, we are delighted to be with you. This is Luisa. Yes. And this is Ann. Thank you for your interest in our work.
Well, it's very possible that I've been going to IECA meetings maybe longer than you have. So,
I'm not sure.
I believe my first IECA meeting was in 1986. So,
okay, you beat me. You beat me too. You win. You are going to win that.
So, and
we're going to be seeing you.
Yes, exactly. And I'll be flying in there tomorrow to see all of you. But one of the reasons why I have continued to go is I absolutely love it. I had somebody tell me a couple of years ago when they heard that I was getting involved in some other projects and stuff, and they said, "Oh, I guess we're not going to see you, if you start getting involved in these other projects." And I said, first of all, let me correct you right now. I said, I could end up having businesses that had nothing to do with this, and I would still show up at these meetings. There is no place on earth that you can go and have, and now it's 12 or 1,400 like-minded people with so much incredibly positive energy. The positive energy literally carries me for the next couple of months. So believe me, I come because of what all of you do to help our kids, but also it pumps me up with the energy I need to keep doing what I do as well.
Yeah, it's a real shot in the arm to go to those conferences. They're very well done, and many of us work mostly on our own with students. So the opportunity to get together with others and be encouraged and supported and trained in new ideas is really exciting.
Which I think would be a great thing for us to start with, and that is, so for some of our listeners who may not know what services educational consultants provide, please explain some of those services and how you will go about those.
Okay. As Alan's been saying, IECA is the National Association of Educational Professionals, and they counsel students and families about the next step in their education. And the largest number of our members at the moment specialize in advising students about college admission, or in some cases, as with Luisa, in graduate school admission. And some specialize in advising students about boarding school placement. And some specialize in working with troubled teenagers and their families in figuring out the appropriate next step, whether that's getting more help in the home setting, attending a wilderness program, a residential treatment center, a therapeutic boarding school, or another specialized setting. And the members of IECA have a variety of specialized knowledge, some in learning disabilities, some in summer or gap year programs, some in work with international students. So there's quite a range.
Well, now, I know that again, I'm going to be there tomorrow, and it is an incredible organization. But one of the things that we want to make sure that we focus on for today is the foundation, because of all the good works that you do. So tell us a little bit about IECA's foundation. How long has it been around, and what are your goals now?
Thanks, Alan. This is Luisa. The foundation began in 1997 as the philanthropic arm of the organization. So many consultants were involved in so many wonderful activities in their communities. It seemed like a really great idea for everyone to sort of band together. So they band together. We celebrated our 20th anniversary. We are legal this year. It'll be our 21st year. And certainly moving forward, we have 3 wonderful initiatives. The first is the grant making, and Anne is the cheerleader and the cracks the whip to make sure that committee sifts through all of our grant applications so that we can make some wonderful contributions to some really great programs. And I think people are going to be very excited to hear about some of them today. There's unbelievably worthwhile initiatives. Then we have another one. It's called the IECA Gives database, where members can load up what it is they're doing in their communities and connect with each other and create new ones, build on old ones, whatever it is. It's just quite remarkable. And our third initiative is the CATS Award, which is an annual award for the Volunteer of the Year. And we will be making that presentation in just a few days.
Now, again, so for everybody out there listening, if you want to be able to learn more about the organization, you can go to www.IECAonline.com. Now,
Alan, can I jump right in?
Sure.
The IECAonline.com is a fabulous website for IECA, the Parent Association. And that is where, if you're a parent looking for a consultant, if you're a school, a program, a college, or maybe even someone who wants to think about becoming a consultant, that's the site that you want to go to and look at. Buried in that site, or you could also go to IECAfoundation.org, and that's where you'll find all the wonderful philanthropic projects going on. So there are two great sites, and we certainly hope people will have a chance to look at both.
Now, you mentioned that you're working with a lot of programs, so share with us some of the programs that you're currently supporting.
Are you ready? It's a long list. I'm sure Ann has it ready for you.
The whole list. What's fun for us as a grants committee is to put together a sort of portfolio of different organizations that we are going to support each year. And we try to have a variety. Probably the largest number have to do with helping disadvantaged kids make their way to higher education. And lately we've found some special populations that are being addressed by certain organizations. One is kids who have been undergoing treatment for cancer or who are cancer survivors. And the organization that helps them is called the National Grace Foundation. And they go to cancer hospitals around the country and offer free advice to students and their families who are so tied up with the cancer treatment process that it's just really hard for them to think outside that. And when they're ready to think about college, sometimes it just seems too hard to even contemplate. And this is a way to come alongside these kids, and then they get mentoring one-on-one to go through the process and to access the financial help that they'll need.
And what are some of the other programs?
Another one is called Willows in the Wind. This is a support group for parents of students who are in therapeutic programs, and that's in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's a parent support group, but they bring in professionals to help give them advice, and they definitely recommend that people use an educational consultant to help them. Another organization is Best Foot Forward that works with foster kids in Palm Beach, Florida. Foster kids are a often ignored group, and they really need assistance as they age out of the foster care system at age 18, and then may not have the resources to figure out what's next. Another group is Sisters Circle, which is a mentoring program for girls from middle school on in the Baltimore area, where they're assigned a woman who mentors them for at least 3 years, usually 7. And they have an amazing record of getting kids graduating from high school and going on to college. Another one, there's some interesting groups that use sports as a sort of come on to get kids involved in after-school programs where then they are helped to learn about college, gain access, help with homework and college readiness. And there's one in Charleston, South Carolina called Chucktown Squash that really does a good job with that. That was one that we've really enjoyed learning about.
Let me jump in. The one thing about Chucktown Squash is that's also a partnership with the College of Charleston.
Yeah.
So there's college students and professors involved, as well as the local athletes, and those kids are out there playing squash and doing their homework, because you're not getting that squash racket unless you're also doing your homework and staying up to date with all that needs to be done for school.
That's right.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the things that I love about this is that there is such a variety, and one of the reasons I know is because you do so much research to be able to find where you can help. So I want to share with everybody out there, if you're in a position to be able to donate, especially if you're in a position to donate maybe for your company. So I want to add something here. For anybody, I'm sure everybody's heard of Warren Buffett. Okay, Warren Buffett was interviewed, and they asked him, and they said, why did you take so much of your money and place it in the Bill Gates Foundation? Why didn't you make decisions yourself? He said, because I placed it somewhere where I know that they've already done the research that is necessary to make sure that it reaches out to people in a very broad way. So I want to tell everybody out there, that's what we're talking about here with this foundation. They've done the research. They are doing the things out there that are helping many people from all different walks of life. So you're in a position to be able to know, hey, if I put the money here, I know that it's going to go to good works on a broad level. So again, I want to thank you guys, for what it is that you do, but I want to make sure everybody knows this is a great opportunity for anybody out there that's doing any form of donation or any form of charitable events. This is a great place where you can go with your funds.
Thanks so much, Tom. That's so true.
Now, again, you've given us a great kind of overview of some of the different programs. Now, how do you decide which organizations you support?
This is Luisa, and I will say, it's a very difficult decision, and Ann's committee is the committee that does all of the hard work. This year, how many grants do you have in the pipeline?
We have 42 grant proposals to sift through in the next couple of months.
And everything hinges on the dollars that we raise for how many of these programs we're going to be able to support. We're really great for those brand new programs, sometimes some of the programs that have not yet been noticed by maybe larger foundations. It's hard for them to get some startup money. And with these grants, they can be used for all sorts of things. If you need just get that electricity bill paid so that you can do your good work, we are good for that kind of thing. What kind of other things matter, do you think, Anne, in that grant process?
We do delight in finding newer projects and like to see founders who are living and giving sacrificially to help a program to come into being. We like to, we don't give huge amounts of money, and we like to see where our grants are actually going to make a difference for an organization.
Now, if there's somebody out there that has a program and they're struggling a little bit, how do they go about submitting a proposal to you?
There are clear instructions on the IECA Foundation website on how to submit a grant and the granting guidelines that we use. So I would encourage an organization to read those. Okay.
Now, earlier you mentioned some of the other things that you're doing, which includes the Irvin Katz Award. If it's not a secret, or if we're not giving away something we're not supposed to, can we have a little sneak preview in regards to who's going to win this year's award for volunteerism?
Well, first of all, I guess we could have to ask your listeners to be very quiet and not put it on social media. However, we do know who the winners are going to be. Not all of them know they're going to win. So this is sneak preview. Why not, right? You've asked the question, we'll give you the answer. For the first time, we are going to award a group, a project. It's called the Possibility Project in New York City. This is a group of 32 IECA members. Some of them are student members. Some of them are associate members. They're on the way to becoming professional members. The seasoned colleagues, and we have some emeritus members on that team. They have gotten together under the leadership of Marilyn Emerson, an IECA member in New York City, and they have put together a remarkably, incredibly comprehensive, blow your mind program for foster children in the city. They are helping these children do all they need to do to be prepared for college. This is their third senior year graduating their kids, and so far the past two classes all have gone off to college and done unbelievably well and continued to be mentored. So on Thursday at lunch, keep it quiet, all 32 of these people will be honored, and I am sure the group will be hooting and hollering. And Anne is reminding me, what else is it that they do that is part of that
My
project?
understanding is that the students actually write and produce a play, and I think just putting on that project produces a lot of self-confidence, a real sense of accomplishment for those students.
And New York and plays, theater, it all makes great sense, doesn't it? It's very, very, very exciting. These children's lives have been absolutely transformed, and all of the consultants who have worked on the project say that their lives have been transformed.
You know, as somebody who for many years has traveled and gone out to many of the programs, I've been blessed with the opportunity to look in the eyes of many of these children that have been helped. And it's absolutely phenomenal. And you know, I refer to it as just the twinkle in the eyes. You can see the twinkle in their eyes, and I come from the part of dealing with more on the at-risk side. So sometimes I'm dealing with kids that I'm taking to drug and alcohol rehab or something like that, and I'm seeing the dead eyes. So,
yes.
So to be able to, when I go out to the programs and I get a chance to meet these kids and I see the twinkle in their eyes, it makes me understand why we do what we do. I mean, it makes it all worthwhile, and I just thank you so much for what you guys are doing.
Exciting. We are indeed blessed to know all about this and hear this and work with great people like you too, on all sides, all around the table, working for our kids.
All right. Well, thank you. We have some listener questions coming in. They are more towards just a little bit about getting some information, not necessarily about the foundation, but about what to do with their again, I guess in this case, a high school student and a college student. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We want everybody to stay with us. You're listening to Answers for the Family.
Founded over 30 years ago to meet the needs of families in crisis, West Shield has continually focused on resolving issues that negatively impact families and businesses. Our signature therapeutic transportation service helps to ensure that adolescents in crisis are safely transported to specialized schools, programs, and treatment centers with unsurpassed experience and success. We are supported by our full-service licensed investigation agency that has legally, professionally, and compassionately located hundreds of runaways and teens. We are experienced and qualified to help, offering solutions which may include referrals to our international network of top professionals in the fields of educational consulting, psychology, psychiatry, and investigations. Simply put, West Shield Adolescent Services and West Shield Investigations are the best solutions when your family is facing a personal crisis. Call 1-800-899-8585. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 1-800-899-8585. Or visit our website at westshield.com. Thank you.
And we're back. We're speaking with Luisa Rabe and Anne Montgomery. We are talking about a lot of things as it relates to kids and education. They are with the Independent Educational Consultants Association, as well as being involved with the foundation. And we've got a couple of questions that have come in. One says, my son is looking at colleges where his girlfriend has applied, which are all on the East Coast. We would like him to choose a college closer to home here in California to see him more and for financial reasons, but he seems determined to move to the East Coast. I would like to engage an educational consultant to assist, but am concerned that this person may only present options of that our son gives them. Or do they also balance their recommendations with ones that are best for his major and within a budget, explaining the value of graduating without a huge debt?
Yes. An educational consultant is a professional who is dedicated to helping a student thrive in every way. And that doesn't mean just taking at face value what the student thinks is best for them. A consultant will get to know the student, talk with them about their interests, their preferences, their learning style, their previous educational experiences, what kind of environment works best for them. What I find is that for many students, just going through the process of discussing those questions gets the wheels turning for them. And the answers to those questions sometimes are not even that important to me as I work with them, but it's important for the student to begin thinking about them. And I find that sometimes just a few weeks later, the student will get back to me and say, you know what, I've been thinking about that, and I think maybe I don't want to go where my friends are going, or whatever it is they've told me previously. And they've moved into a new level of maturity and understanding about themselves. So that's very exciting for us to see that, and I think it's very encouraging for families. You know, students go through this process of applying for college right at a time in their life. It's a phase in their lives where they are changing a lot from month to month. So it's almost unfair that we're asking them to make this decision about college just as they're going through this maturation process. And I think just talking things through is very helpful.
And I think one of the questions that comes up, and they touched on it a little bit in this question, has to do with finances. So share a little bit about some of the ways in which an educational consultant helps in those areas, be it knowing about what the price may be for in-state or possible grant or loan opportunities.
Absolutely. This is Luisa. One of the things I always do in those first conversations is with the family in the room is to ask the youngster, and exactly how much is in your budget for college? It is a wonderful moment of silence. But we do talk about the cost of what it would look like, and we talk about all of the different options, the ways a family may have saved or not had the opportunity to save for college, and kind of what that budget is, and then look both in-state, out-of-state, depending on the child's talents and interests. There can be wonderful merit programs for financial aid, and the job of an educational consultant is not to be the financial advisor, but certainly to be exceedingly well versed in the financial statements that are required and in the possibilities that colleges and universities are offering, because every college and university on the planet has some sort of financial aid program, whether it be scholarships or outright scholarships or loans, one way or the other. But that the kind of thing you're thinking about, Alan?
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thought that came to mind is there seems to be sort of a trend towards this concept of going to a community college that might be adjacent to a university and taking the first 2 years there and making sure that they take transferable classes to then go to the university. Share a little bit about how that works.
That's a great, and that is certainly, in many ways, it works out so well for youngsters and their families on so many different levels. Just some students are really not ready to go that far away from home. So being able to be at home as they go through those first couple years of school can be excellent from a growing up standpoint. It's kind of like an extended high school period in some ways. On the other hand, it gives them the chance to build a solid academic record. There are consultants, interestingly enough, who really help specialize in making sure that students are taking the courses they need to take, sort of like an academic advisor, beyond what maybe a college might offer, a community college, to make sure that the student is putting in place the right credits. Say you want to become a math major in college, but if you're taking basket weaving at the community college, it's not going to work. So there needs to be someone encouraging that student to move forward and do things in a way that makes sense. And financially, for families, it is absolutely wonderful the way that it can be a very cost-saving move to do the community college first. And there are wonderful universities, not just adjacent to that community college. There are universities that could be very far away that would look at that mature student coming in as a junior as a very attractive candidate to have on campus. Someone who offers a diversity of experiences and backgrounds. Fun to have around the classroom table.
I love it. Now we have another question that's coming in, and this one reads, our daughter is a sophomore in high school. She says that many of her friends have already decided which college they're going to. She is wanting us to fly her around to visit schools. On the one hand, we're grateful that she is this interested in her future education. On the other hand, isn't this a little premature? How do you suggest we handle this to maintain her interest and yet not waste time on schools that she may not be interested in a couple of years from now?
I would take every opportunity to visit campuses when you're already in another city. If you're on vacation, I think it's great for students to be exposed to campuses of different sizes and flavors so that they get a sense of what appeals to them. It's really hard for students to know how they're going to like a college just off the top of their heads. So many students come into my office and say, well, I know at least it's got to be bigger than my high school. And in fact, there's some wonderful colleges that are smaller than at least the large public high schools. And I hope that the students will get a chance to visit some of those campuses and see what it feels like when you've got that many students spread out over many acres and many buildings.
Now, so it sounds like what you're saying is that a sophomore in high school is not too soon to start looking at campuses and start thinking about their future.
I wouldn't want to dampen anyone's enthusiasm.
On the other hand, you have two of us in this conversation, Helen. Certainly, I mean, there are, and this could be one of those children where her classmates have very eager parents, maybe perhaps too eager and moving a little bit too far forward. So I loved the way Anne suggested that as the family goes about its regular life, as they go to visit grandma and grandpa in another city, they go visit aunts and uncles, they go on a summer vacation. If a college campus happens to be nearby, to just do a drive-through, to stop and go to the student shop and get a T-shirt or just get a feeling for what it's like to be on campus. And there are so many schools, even in one's own neighborhood. I live in Philadelphia, and I cannot tell you how often families come in and want to create this incredible trip all over the United States and say, you know, you really could stay right here in Philadelphia. We could see some large urban universities. We could see a wonderful work-study university with Drexel. We could be looking at some unbelievable, the most incredible liberal arts colleges in America, looking at Swarthmore College, Haverford, Bryn Mawr, a wonderful women's college. There are plenty of places to look at in Philadelphia, and one could get a sense of what one likes and doesn't like pretty much on the way to the grocery store.
Yeah, well, I completely agree, and I love the thing about doing the things in conjunction with what it is that you're already doing. When, as you said, when you're at grandma's house or when you're going on vacation, to go ahead and still, you know, you're saying that I appreciate the fact that you want your education. So yes, we're going to go visit these, but it may be a little premature if you live on the West Coast to fly you out, for Christmas vacation and to go visit, four schools on your own, on the East Coast, or vice versa. So, I think that's a great answer, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, one of the things that, again, anybody who's listened to the show knows that my favorite part of the show, and many listeners comment when they send messages in, which, by the way, listeners, keep them coming. Keep making comments either on iTunes, on Facebook, or whatever social media that you use, is the success stories. And so if you could share a couple of success stories each, starting with maybe just the general part of doing your job as an independent educational consultant, that type of success story, and then let's shift to the foundation and some of the success stories that have come out of that.
Absolutely. This is Luisa. I sort of thinking of success stories. I like to think them, and that's a good time for a consultant to be thinking about it, or a parent this time of year, just as our seniors are writing their applications. So who knows what the stories will look like this year. But I think one of the great successes several years ago, and this young man is now out of college, but he came with lovely older parents and who really wanted him to stay within 45 minutes of home, which in Philadelphia one could do. And he was perfectly delighted with all of that and worked out what he wanted to do with life. There were lots of opportunities, but then it was also wonderful to be with that family, and as they began to think about what really would be best for him and what would be best for the family. And he ended up going to St. Andrews in Scotland. His father is a golfer, so that made things work out on that particular front. And for this young man, it was a wonderful chance to sort of grow up and go beyond what maybe Philadelphia would have had just for him as the only child of much older parents. Another fun success story for some of your families may be my student. I have two of them I can think off the top of my head, but one was asked at a certain university south of here, was asked not once, not twice, but 3 times to leave. That young man is a pediatrician today. I have another wonderful young man who is a second year in medical school, probably a stone's throw from this hotel at this very moment, who at his university went through some bumps and scrapes along the way, and he certainly has moved on, is in medical school and will be a wonderful physician, caring, empathetic, understanding that life is not always, straight and narrow, that there can be some bumps, but you know what? It can all work out in the end, as long as we keep our eye on the ball and do what is right. Those are two sort of fun professional ones. Anne, what can you think of her?
I have done some work with students who have been to a therapeutic boarding school and have done well and sort of come out the other side. Their parents think that there's no way, or have thought at some point during the process, that there's no way that their child will ever be able to go to college. And to work with them and see them accepted at a college, and to see the just the delight on their parents' faces when their child is going to, a good solid college, has been really rewarding for me. I've worked with a number of students who've attended Montana Academy in particular, and to see those students going to liberal arts colleges all over the country and succeeding and moving on, going to law school, whatever it might be, it's just very rewarding.
And as you were saying that, when you mentioned about the therapeutic boarding schools, it actually reminded me of a few stories. And one was sitting down with a family, and the father and the mother were in disagreement in regards to, should they spend the money, which essentially was a college fund, for a young person to go to a specialized therapeutic boarding school. And they kind of went back and forth and eventually made the decision, yes, they're going to do this. And that young person went to the therapeutic boarding school and contacted me, because I had been involved in the transport, and contacted me about 6 years afterwards to say, I just wanted to let you know that I did so well at the therapeutic boarding school that I got a scholarship to college. So to me, that was one of those stories to where there's these parents that were in a sense of turmoil in regards to what to do. And as it turned out, and again, the decisions they were making was based on what their educational consultant had told them, was, if you don't do something now, they're not going to get into college anyway. So anyway, that was definitely one of the success stories that sticks in my mind.
Often parents aren't sure that colleges will want to take students who've been to a therapeutic program. But what I've found is that colleges are usually very open to that. And one reason is that these students who've gone to a therapeutic program have had to look their issues squarely on and deal with them. Whereas there's so many students who go blithely on straight from high school into college, maybe go wild in that first semester that they're in college and don't even finish the first semester. So the colleges, as long as they have some assurance that those students are ready to handle the college lifestyle, are happy to take on these students that are actually more mature.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point, because the statistics are that there are a lot of kids that do just that when they've never been out of their own small town or whatever it is, and all of a sudden they just go wild in that first time, and possibly lose the chance to continue. So I think it's a great point. They've already gone through some stressors. They've gone through maybe that wild time in their life, and now found that there is a better way to enjoy life, and they're making better decisions. So I couldn't agree more. And can we have a couple of the success stories as they're related to the foundation, where the foundation has stepped in and really turned somebody's life around?
Yes, we're not as aware of the individuals that these organizations are helping, but we're in touch with what the organizations can tell us about the success of their students as a group, and what the volunteers themselves are saying. I'm thinking particularly at the moment of a group called, an organization called Reading Power that's in North Chicago. It's a one-on-one literacy tutoring program where they have 90 volunteers from the community who are trained by literacy professionals to work with elementary school children as a sort of preemptive literacy program. And the schools have been very open to actually providing them with space and time to work with the kids, which is not always the case. And I think that's one reason this program is so successful. And the volunteers work with the students, and then they have supervision groups a support group where they get together with other volunteers, talk about their successes, talk about how they might be able to do better, give each other pointers, and come back and report on how it's all worked. And what they found is that the volunteers are talking so much about how this has changed their lives, and how it's not only fostering a love for reading and writing in these young students, but it's also reminding the volunteers, the adults, how much they like to write and read. It is. We always do learn more from our children, right? Some of it's interesting, the work we choose to do. Your work, Alan, work Ann does, and the work I do, the work all of our colleagues choose to do. The benefits that we get from it are truly quite remarkable, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Aren't we lucky?
Absolutely. And, it's funny when you started that with, we don't have a lot of the individual success stories. So instead, we only have success stories times 100 or times 200 or however many kids that have been impacted. Gee, that's terrible.
It is terrible. We do think, I'm thinking off the top of my head, I'm remembering way back, West Philadelphia Alliance for Children. The libraries in Philadelphia and the public schools were closing, and there wasn't any. And with the minimal donation that we were able to make, that one year, they got out and got books. Ultimately, started a brand new library, got volunteers through IECA and other volunteer groups to come in and staff a library in one of the elementary schools that would not have had one otherwise. They had another grant that was about an after-school program. in West Philadelphia. That's right by University City in town. It was an after-school program that sent the kids home with a little bit of supper, too. So they got homeworks, a little supper, a little run around the block or the park. And that was these programs are remarkable, Alan. Absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, and there are so many good ones out there, and it is, at a time in which if people only listen to the media and stuff, they would think that everybody's horrible and everybody's doing bad things and stuff. Don't watch that stuff. There are so many great people out there that are doing so much good that, it outweighs all of that. But you have to go there. You have to check it out. You have to get involved, and you'll see this, and it'll change your whole outlook on life.
I think you're absolutely right. When we think of the foundation, we think, what is our message? Our message is one of hope. There's incredible hope and confidence in our children. And that when we say our children, we mean the children of the world. And hope and confidence in their future and our future together. And an incredible amount of awe and admiration for the volunteers and the children who work so hard to basically transform people's lives. It's truly wonderful. And it's so amazing. It doesn't really take that much for any one of us to step up and do something. Volunteering in your local community, going through to your library and saying that you'd like to volunteer, they can always find a spot for you where we'll be able to help you. Our librarians are the best at making connections worldwide. So to go there and look for something to do, to go and look on the IECA Foundation website to see about some programs, to make a contribution. Sometimes we say, if you took just 1 hour of your professional life, whatever your wage is, and just donated that to a cause, if we all gave just 1 hour a year, how remarkable that would be. What a difference we'd be able to make.
Yes, and we're saying that now in regards to all of them, but share with us again what our listeners can do to support your great work at the foundation.
Well, Alan, they can go to the www.IECAfoundation.org. I want them to I would love to have them wander through that website and look at those great programs and look at the fabulous pictures of these wonderful children and young adults and parents. There's a lot of good parent groups there, too. And then make a donation. We would love to have your support, your listeners' support. We know they can't come, although if they're in D.C., this Wednesday, the 15th, we certainly would love to have them join us to see the Capitol steps, and that will be a great show, and we will be lauding some of our wonderful awardees who will be there. But to go to that website and be able to make a donation, we would so appreciate their support, and we know that Anne and her team are going through those grants one right after the other, and it's so hard at that meeting in January when we have to vote. You hate saying no to anyone. There are great programs, so the more funds we can raise, the more lives we're going to be able to change.
Well, I just want to acknowledge you for all of the great work that you're doing. Thank you so much. And again, for everybody out there, if you're driving, if you couldn't write that down, we will put all of this information on the Answers for the Family website. Go to the site, and you'll be able to get all the information you need to be able to help support the IECA Foundation. Thank you so much, and I will see you I'll see you tomorrow. I'm flying into DC tomorrow.
That would be great, Alan. We'll see you, and we can't thank you for your support. It is, truly a gift, and we are very much looking forward to seeing you. And the other thing that for the families listening who are looking for a consultant and for programs who want to know more about IECA, to look at the IECA website. That will be www.IECA.online. They go right there. They'll be able to find it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Now, for everybody out there, now you may like them or not, but video games are a part of our life now and in pretty much every industrialized nation. So please be sure to put on your calendar and tune in next Monday when we discuss a mindfulness approach to video games for play-based social and emotional learning. So, and please visit our archives of past interviews at AnswersForTheFamily.com or subscribe to our show through iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Vimeo. If you like what you hear, please leave a review. It will help us reach more people, and we are so greatly appreciative of it. And the next time you're on Facebook or Twitter, please remember to stop by our page. Check out some of our latest posts. If you like them, please like us and spread the word. So for everybody out there, be good human beings, and be with us again next week on Answers for the Family.
You're listening to Answers for the Family with Alan Cardoza and Matt Polachek, only on LA Talk Radio.